Every song has a story, and every storyteller has a soundtrack. On Echoes and Anecdotes, we dive into the moments, mishaps, and magic behind life in music. Join us for unfiltered conversations with the artists and insiders whose echoes still resonate today. In Episode 1, I sit down with John Faulkner, drummer for Porcupine, The Protectors, and Syndicate. Listen as John shares some great stories about his career, musical tastes, and brushes with fame. I have a special guest today with me to start Episode 1. His name is John Faulkner, who has been in music for quite some time. He's been the drummer for a few bands, the first of which was Porcupine. Afterwards, was drummer for The Protectors, and then ultimately Syndicate. So very honored to have John with us today. John, how you doing?
I'm okay, thank you. Thanks very much.
Very good. Excellent. Thanks for coming. So just have a few questions, and really this is just to have a great conversation about music in general.
Yeah.
And maybe we can start with some of your musical influences before we get into, who you drum for and your experiences as a player. So can you maybe explain, like, when you were like a young person, like, who were some of your first musical influences?
They were quite into the mod revival of 1979. I started playing when I was about, 10. My dad got me a bass drum and a snare drum.
Okay.
For Christmas one year. And he used to use a fish tank lead as hi-hats. Mm-hmm. And I used to just put the headphones on, play along to jam records. And
so mod bands,
yeah.
Like, who were some mod bands that you remember playing along with?
Jam, Purple Heart, Secret Affair. There were quite a few. There were a whole host of mediocre mod bands around 1980, 81. I miss the original mod revival of 79. I'm a bit too young, but they'd redid it in 1983, 84. They got some new bands out, The Prisoners. They were massive.
So that must have
influence.
It must have been huge. So you were around age 10, jamming away.
Yeah, to mostly jam records and that, yeah.
Wow. So if Dad bought you that, how did that go?
I used to get
drums in the house.
I used to get an hour and a half every night after school.
Okay.
The neighbours would put up with that, put tea towels on the drums.
Tea towels on the drums.
Yeah, just play along to my favourite stuff, yeah.
That's great.
And that's how I learned.
So your first influences were like the mod revival.
Yeah, mostly, yeah.
Did you then branch out to other genres, or?
Yeah. I played in bits of bands, cover bands and stuff when I was fairly young, at local working men's clubs and stuff. A girl and a guy who lived in the village at Kelbrook where I grew up. And then at 16, I saw my first live band, Echo and the Bunnymen.
Oh, nice.
And
okay.
that was like massive for me. And about 17, I moved from Skipton to Colne and discovered this big indie scene, indie kids, cool kids. And with another guy I used to go to school with, Damien, we formed Porcupine, and we hit the floor running. We were pretty good. We had some good stuff, and people seemed to like us.
Just for the people who are not aware of where these places are, Skipton and Kelbrook, where are those?
Skipton's North Yorkshire border, Lancashire border.
Okay.
And then Colne's just inside Lancashire, proper mill town, working class, playing lots of working men's clubs, and it were a massive. There were loads of local bands, really good ones.
Yeah,
we did all right for a spell. We were pretty good. People liked us. Used to love playing. We had some good songs. Nice big set.
That setup, was that like a four-piece?
Four-piece, yeah.
Okay.
A singer who just sung, bass player, guitarist, and me. Yeah. So you bog standard four-piece.
Would that be mid-'80s, end of the 80s, somewhere there? Or?
Yeah, about 8, yeah. I'd be 16, 17, so 86, 87, we started out. And we're pretty good. Bass player, we're a massive Smiths fan. Guitarist, he were an insurance salesman with a bad mullet and nice clothes.
Yeah.
But we're really good. Damien loved REM.
From the States.
Yeah, he had some quite... but all surfers, he loved stuff like that, more obscure stuff. He had a friend who'd give him mixtapes with Gavin Friday on, stuff like that.
Okay.
So it was quite a mix. I loved Echo and the Bunnymen, and some of the northern indie giants, if you will.
So, just to understand too your evolution as a drummer. So you got your first set around 10, but how did you? Are you self-taught, or did you take lessons, or how did you?
I had one lesson actually off.
Yeah.
There's Uncle Paul, who was in a band called the Knobheads.
Okay.
And he came down. We had a cellar
name.
with the drums in, and he said, "If you can do this," he taught me how to do it in about half an hour. He says, "But you can play drums."
Wow.
So I just listen and pick up, and that's what I did.
That's amazing.
And I practiced with headphones on for years and years, and then started playing with the musicians, and we just.
So, were there any, as far as drummers go, were there any really big influences as far as drumming, just straight up drummers like
Pete DeFreitas out of Ep1 were a massive influence. Nice, loose, individual style, and I gravitated towards that. Wow. And they were a big influence. And then we started to listen to stuff like the Pixies as they came out in the late 80s, early 90s.
And maybe some others, like sometimes drummers talk about like the big ones, but did you have any, like they talk about Bonham, they'll talk about, Keith Moon, they'll talk about people like that.
We'll listen to a bit of Moon as part of the mod thing, but he was so out there.
He was so spastic.
Yeah. It's just passed him on.
You're like, what did he just do there? Some crazy Phil.
To be honest, when I was like 17, 18, we were sort of anti the big establishments like Led Zeppelin and stuff like that. So we'd like pick off really obscure indie bands. There were a band from Leeds I used to love called Cud, and another band called The Family Cat, who nobody's heard of, but we'd follow them all over. Wow. And we loved them little bands. And they were big influences because we could see them, see what they were doing. And we knew we could do it ourselves, so we just kicked on and did it.
So Porcupine, how long did that last for? Roughly?
3 or 4 years. We were quite a long time.
And the types of gigs that you would play, where would you typically play? You mentioned working men's clubs.
Yeah, there's a club called the Tacklers in Nelson, which were like the centre of the universe for us. Okay. And we go back there, and then we play. There's a loads of different pubs on Burnley, Colne, Nelson. Around our way, we played Manchester a few times, different clubs. And
So then, of course, all bands tend to have an ending. So
yeah, well, the guitarist Nigel ended up going out with an American girl and moved to Texas. The bass player joined another local band called Walter Meets His Head, who were brilliant, sort of garage 60s pop time band, and they were really good. I joined a band called the Protectors, which were a third wave of mod revival, which I thought we were brilliant. We did some really good stuff. Got played on Radio 1 on Steve Wright used to do the breakfast show, and he had like an unsigned bit. I got a call one morning saying, "You need to listen 8:30." And he played one of our songs, talked about it for 2 or 3 minutes, and it was massive for us. Because back then, we had demos on cassettes. So yeah, there was no internet, no CDs.
That was huge. So what was that like for you when you first heard yourself?
Oh, I couldn't believe it. National radio. We thought we were massive. We thought that were it. We were going to do it. And we were really good. And that lasted maybe a year and a half.
Did you notice after that, were you playing different gigs? Like in Porcupine, you played more local places, but were you, because of the airplay, were you able to get into it more like clubs maybe in a city?
Not overly. We're a bit of a false dome, but when still played locally, mostly in Burnley this time. Okay. Places like the
Burnley's a bit bigger than Kelbrook.
Yeah, Town Mouse, and that's quite a big pub. Carlton, that were a big place to play around in our area. Yeah, it's some really good bands played there, and there was like us mod bands. There were big head metal bands playing, and prog rock bands, and hippie bands. It was a massive scene, and there was so much to it. Fantastic to be in. So I played in the Protectors, and there was a rival band called the Hate Syndicate, and they started to fall apart, I think. And the singer out of Porcupine joined the Hate Syndicate while I was in the Protectors, and then they got rid of their drummer, and I got the chance to join. They were doing good stuff, going to good places, paying on to fairly big national tours. Well, a big national tour, I were him. So I jumped ship. Maybe I shouldn't have done. I regret it a little bit because the guitarist out of the Protectors, Paul Atkinson, he was just fantastic. He used to play with a violin bow. He'd do pop art on an easel in between songs.
Really?
Proper
While playing?
King mod. He was brilliant. His record collection was massive, such rare stuff that you couldn't get. You couldn't buy.
So from at this point, had anything changed with your kit? Like, were you adding things to your kit, or were you still keeping it kind of basic?
If anything, I stripped down from a 4-piece to a 3-piece, and then literally just playing snare, floor tom, and I'd do it all on that.
Wow.
And I loved when a band would support you and they had a big kit, and then I'd strip it down and play them off the stage. I used to think I was good anyway. But
does that come from somewhere? Does that come from like a jazz mentality?
I think it was that 60s punk thing, that trash band, Standells, that sort of thing. We're getting into more obscure stuff, Seeds, and I just love that. Just being able to do it basically and sounding good at it. And we were good at it. Protectors were really, really good.
So I suppose that forces you to really make sure that whatever you use the maximum capability of it. So amazing. And
then, like I said, jumped ship to the Syndicate, which were, I don't know, it had its perks. We got to record in some smart places. We bought onto a big tour, like 25 dates all over England. Got to go to London and Norwich and places I'd never go to, coast towns.
So that got you definitely out of the local scene into more national level, right? So playing in London.
Yeah, but we still weren't playing to big. It's not like we were playing to anybody, but we were just playing in different places. So
but still, that's progress, though. That's pretty big. So I wanted to ask you a question about recording too. So with all of these bands, did you have an opportunity? You said with the Protectors, you had a song on the radio, so you got to record.
Yeah, we did a couple of in local studios, cheap rate, out of hours, a couple of hours here and there. We put a few songs down. We had some good songs.
So for you, because obviously drums are so important with the recording process, was that like the first time you had experience in the studio?
Yeah.
So was that
it was pretty basic,
difficult, or did you take to it? Was it all right?
Yeah, I just played.
Just played?
Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't really know what was going on. I just sat behind them and played. And I mic'd up. It sounded good. But when I joined the Syndicate, the guy bankrolled it, called Mark Crabtree. He owns AMS Neve.
Oh, wow.
You've heard of, obviously.
Sure. Yeah. And Neve is really famous.
Because he made recording equipment. We got to go to studios that had easy recording equipment. So we got to go to places that were a lot better than our standard. We got to go to Rockfield, which is, we'd followed the Charlatans and Stone Roses in. Super Furrow Animals came after us. So that was massive tours.
That's incredible.
And we had a producer called John Robb, who you see about sometimes. He's a talking head on music shows about bands and,
Because you had access to some world-class studios, because Neve products are generally considered world-class. Did you come across anybody in those situations that were a surprise for you, or people that maybe...
We got to record at Conk in London, which is owned by the Kinks.
Okay.
And we were in Studio 1 and the Kinks were in Studio 2. So we shared a kitchen with them. So we were making cups of tea with Ray Davies.
That must have been surreal.
It was surreal.
Yeah.
And I didn't take it in like I should have done at the time. Yeah. I think back now and I think, wow, that's amazing.
You're like, hey, Ray, can you pass the sugar?
But at the time, it was just like, well, this is what we're doing,
Right. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, it were handed to me a bit too easily, I think. I didn't appreciate it at the time. But when we were at Rockfield, like I say, Stone Roads had just been in. Manny came in for some tapes, had a little chat, had a brew with us in a fag, and so we got to meet some good people, yeah.
So if it wasn't such a star-struck moment, it seems like maybe these people were very just normal people. Like they were very
Ray
accessible.
Davies and the rest of the band, he'd be in his slippers with cotton wool in his ears, making a cup of tea. I brought his cup home. He had one of them white cups with the blue stripes round.
Okay.
He had one of them mugs. I brought it home with me. I thought I got to have a memento.
Memento of Ray Davies. Yeah.
So yeah, I had that for, I don't know what it is now, but
And Neves are known for being very friendly to sources like drums. Neves generally make drums sound much better. Maybe you can even talk about the process of recording in more like a professional studio. Like, did you notice anything different from your past experiences?
Obviously it will a lot more professional. I just took it as it came, if you will, without really realising how lucky we were. Because we were in the studio. Queen recorded Bohemian Rhapsody at Rockfield.
Right.
So, and this, all this history was just going over my head at the time.
Right.
It's stuff I didn't find out about Queen 2 years later, that they'd actually recorded there. And there was an engineer, I took that for granted.
Okay.
We had somebody producing, I took that for granted. So they set it all up. It sounded brilliant.
And you just came in
sat
and
behind it and played, yeah.
Do you remember any difficulties with that, or was it just...
No, the main difficulty is listening to the same shit over and over again.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And wanting,
Right.
You have a tendency when you're a little band like us in a big studio like that, you want to overdo everything. Everything needs to be perfect. So instead of getting a raw, sort of warm, friendly sound, everything became, I don't know,
like too
sterile,
polished,
a bit sterile, too polished.
So you were looking for more like punch, maybe, and maybe it was just
looking
too
back, it's very clean. If you listen to some of the recordings, it's quite clean. There's a couple that we did one takes. There's an instrumental we did in one take. That's quite good, and we just put a bit of organ over the top, guitar overdubs. There's no singing on it. But
so you, I actually should have asked you this earlier. So you play the drums, of course, but do you play other instruments as well, or do you sing, or what are some other musical
I'd
things?
love to be able to sing.
Okay.
I think I can sing, but I know I can't. And, you know, I'm the drummer who wants to be a frontman, really.
Okay.
But I did play some organ. At Conk, there was like a studio organ, an old Hammond, original Hammond. I got to play a bit of that on a couple of tracks. That was good.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that. I didn't know what we were doing. I just could see the shapes, and if you hit the right keys, it was in key, so you could just hit anything. I just jammed along.
Well, that's pretty cool. So you added some organ to some tracks.
Yeah, a couple of tracks, with a bit of organ on.
Very cool. So we talked a little bit about your recording, obviously being in bands and recording, but of course the main sort of thing is the performances, the shows and everything. So around this time, being able to play in places like London or towns around England and everything, what was if you remember, what was the touring experience like for you? Like, obviously, it sounds like maybe
it was just like it sounds. It was great fun.
Yeah.
We had a Renault 2000 van, big old transit van size thing. I used to get to drive it, which I loved. Tootling around London, tootling up and down motorways. Absolutely loved it.
The band members in there with the gear and everything.
And we'd listen to different stuff.
Okay.
Listen to mad stuff, Scott Walker, Love, whatever they wanted to listen to. The guitarist loved the Bangles. We didn't get on much, but he loved them.
Okay.
Yeah, it was great.
Do you remember like any shows where maybe like something didn't go the way that you had planned, or there was something that was not expected that happened?
Oh, we were pretty tight. We knew what we were doing. We were quite smooth. On the tour, we supported a band called The Real People from Liverpool, and they'd had a couple of singles that were pretty big, like 10 years before, and they'd just written a new album, which I thought were really good, and they were fantastic, two brothers, and they were a big influence on Oasis. Oasis did their original demos at a place called Strawberry Studios, which we did a bit of work in. It's in Liverpool, Strawberry, yeah. And there was The Real People had helped them out with harmonies and songwriting. So they do. So Real People get told they're Oasis rip-offs when it's the other way around.
Okay.
And they don't like that at all.
That's interesting.
And they didn't get any help afterwards when they got big. Never got any support slots or anything. And I thought they were really good.
Yeah.
And they were two brothers as well, bass player and guitarist. They both sung. And they were excellent. And we got to support them on the tour. And I loved it because they were really nice blokes as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, Tony and Chris.
So when you were touring, were you doing like, you had some club dates maybe, or you had some like single events, but would you ever do like festivals or anything?
No, I'd never got to do anything like that. But there's like a club tour where, certain size bands go to the same places. Mole's Club in Bath, we played there. That's like a
Okay.
a standard place where bands of a certain size get to play. So we got to go to all these places. I think about 25 dates, I think.
Wow.
And I loved it. Stopping in B&Bs,
Right.
stopping at people's houses. Got to go to Chris and Tony's mum's for my tea. Just little things like that. It was just so great.
And
pottering around in that van all.
just to understand, at this point, when you're in the Syndicate touring around, how old were you
About
generally?
24, 25
Wow.
maybe.
Okay, so you must have been
Still pretty young.
Yeah, young, but enjoying that. And
Yeah. Luckily, we were bankrolled by Mark Crabtree,
okay.
who obviously
AMS.
owns the MS Nave. Got to go to read all where he lives. And he has the original recording stuff that the Beatles did Sgt. Pepper on in his porch with his wellies next to him.
Seriously, just sat there.
And he paid for all the touring, the B&Bs, because we had to pay on the tour. We didn't get it through merit. We paid onto it, which is where standard practice for an up-and-coming band. Paid for the CD. We had our own label called Sticky Records that they brought the CD out on.
Okay.
Which was masterminded by a guy called Mick Moss who lived in Liverpool.
Wow. So looking back at those times, after Syndicate, did you have any other projects or did you do...
No, I retired.
You retired?
Yeah.
Right.
I had another project, but
retired
it wasn't
early.
musical.
Yeah. So, for example, with Crabtree, are you still ever in touch with people that you have met along the way, or?
The singer lives at the bottom of my brother's street, so I see him quite often.
The singer of the Syndicate?
Syndicate, yeah, Damien Mambo, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he still plays. He plays in a band called Sausage Factory as well, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But he still
title.
plays, and he's always played. He's stuck to it. He was quite good. He could sing. He could play a bit guitar. He was quite a bright, imaginative lad.
So looking back at career, like, could you say like there was one instance that was like the highlight of when you were touring around, of when you were drumming in these bands?
Yeah, we played in Liverpool quite a few times. We played. I used to love a band called The Stairs.
Okay.
And the singer was called Edgar Summertime. They were like a 60s beat outfit. And we got to support him. On the same bill was the Cast, who is John Powers out of the Laws. And they became quite a big band. So we got to meet them. We supported them. So that night was probably the night I got to meet, some Scouse pop stars.
Scouse.
Indie stars.
Yeah, from Liverpool.
Yeah.
Very cool. One last question, because I know we're going to wrap up soon, but from a recording standpoint, what would you say, what recording, in your opinion, encapsulates your best drumming?
The stuff we did at Conk, I probably enjoyed most. Got to play the organ at Conk, which was great.
Nice.
And just the environment, being around the Kinks was amazing.
Yeah, that could have been incredible.
Amazing.
Plus the gear too, because that's where they had the Neve.
Yeah,
and everything,
well,
right?
as a drummer, I didn't quite appreciate at the time how influential and big Neve were. It was just Mark's desks, and we were getting to use them. So it floated through it at the time. But in hindsight, I understand quite how lucky I was, really.
Sure.
Because nothing ever came of any of it.
Right.
The CD you might find in a charity shop.
So recording at Conk was a highlight, because
definitely.
of the equipment and everything.
The people, it was looking back.
That's amazing.
I should have absorbed more while I was there. But
but
you don't when you're a young man. You just think all this is going to come to you forever, don't you? No, and it doesn't.
Right, but still, does sound like some really amazing experiences, and being able to sort of rub elbows with Ray Davies. And
I didn't understand how important Mark Crabtree and AMS were at the time. Even though we went to his home and saw how amazing it was, what stuff he had. And, it was what it was at the time. And now, as an old man,
well, you're not that old.
regret not making more of it, really.
Right. But still, that's quite an experience to have someone like him be able to bankroll you guys and to support
it was massive.
your dream. Yeah.
We'd have never done it.
Yeah.
We weren't doing it off merit, I can assure you that.
Sure.
It wasn't because we were good. It's because Mark Crabtree was behind it.
Okay. And sometimes it is about connections in the business.
Of course it is. It's luck, innit? A lot of it's luck. And we had all the luck on our side. And back then, most bands were legacy bands. You get signed, to a label for 4 albums or whatever. It wasn't like now where you can just pop out of nothing and become big. You had to, somebody had, A&R man had to see you, had to like you, sell you to his company, and you had to be doing something different, which is unfortunately what we weren't doing. We were behind the curve instead of in front of it, I thought. We were trying to do something that was already been done, whereas I thought we could, I don't know, as a drummer, you're reliant on the people in front of you, aren't you? And with the Protectors, I thought I had all that. I was really confident in the rest of the band. They were all brilliant musicians. They had great influences, great ideas. And the Syndicate, they were all really proficient. They were good at what they did. But I think we were trying to do something that had already been done. And you can't do that, can you? You have to be original. You have to, you've got to be the package, haven't you? And we just, unfortunately, we weren't that.
So the direction of the band was just a little bit behind the times rather than
I think so,
on the
definitely.
Cutting edge, yeah. But I suppose with everything,
they were quite good.
At the moment, you do the absolute best, and it's a little bit of everything: luck, talent, who you know, all these kind of things.
People have got to buy into a band, haven't they? It's got to be about, you've got to have the right chemistry, the right sound, the right look. It's a package. People want to like bands that reflect or, excite them and speak to them. So
having that experience in late 80s, 90s, fast forward to today, what is your take on music that's coming out today? Do you have bands that you like that capture something unique? Like you're talking about something where not anybody's really doing it. They're cutting edge kind of thing. Do you enjoy anybody right now? It's really hard because any new band today is fighting against a massive backlog of stuff that's available at press of a button. Anything you can think of, you can find. I heard a really obscure Japanese stomper a friend of mine played the other night. He'd spent ages looking for it. It's so rare on vinyl. And I could find it on Spotify, and that's amazing. So it's true. Yeah, the accessibility of everything. It's boundless. It's endless, isn't it? So to find new stuff as a man my age is difficult without recommendations from family, friends. Right. I find myself listening to stuff that were before my time, Wire, Magazine, bands like that. That maybe have influenced you. And even early, some of the big bands like the Kinks, the Who, some of their early recordings when they were proper beat outfits, R&B beat outfits, fantastic stuff. Yeah. And that's all. You never found that at one time, and now you can find it all. Right, with the amazing push of a button, right? With the push of a button. Spotify is amazing. It is pretty amazing. It's amazing, but it's not that unplugging Spotify. But it's also because it makes music so accessible for your typical consumer who may not be a musician themselves. It may lessen the value there. Me and a friend of mine used to DJ. We got quite into the acid jazz stuff and the old 60s funk, and we used to trail all over the Northwest, going to obscure record shops, flicking through 45s, pulling them out, asking them to play them for us, and we'd have to buy vinyl copies of stuff that we wanted to play. Whereas now, you go to... it's on your phone. Yeah. I went to this reggae do the other day, and they just pressed one button and it played the set for him. And that's cheating, innit? To me, that's cheating. He told me, well, I had to find the stuff to put on my phone. Well, how did he have to look? But that was maybe half an hour of work, right? Yeah. All right, so the last question I'm going to ask you, and I really appreciate your time today. Obviously, looking back is one thing, and maybe it's been some time since you've played, but do you ever sometimes sit down, maybe set up a kit, play something, or... do you ever think about maybe working with a new project or having like a new experience in some ways? Not really, but my niece Heather plays in a band called My State. Yeah. She sometimes comes over to England. She lives in Spain. Yeah. And we'll get a studio. My nephew Thomas, he's played in a local band. They were really good. Okay. So we just all get together. Just have a family jam. Oh, that's great. She sometimes brings the boyfriend. He's quite good. Quite good on the bass. Yeah. And we just buzz. That's all I'm doing, really. Yeah. But when I listen to music,
I'm listening to the drums.
Always.
So I'm still thinking that way, if you will. Yeah. So
that's
if you
great.
can think it, you can play it. Nearly.
There you go. So it remains to be seen, but hopefully we'd hear something from you only if you were up for it in the future. That would be incredible.
Who knows?
Maybe
I do feel quite old and quite irrelevant at the minute.
Yeah, but if we know anything, the way that trends work, and we're seeing this a lot with older bands from the 90s, they're coming back because there really isn't so much inventiveness that's around today. And so
a lot of young bands have really hard work because they've got to play against that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
they've got to stand out to, like you say, so many old bands are touring. Mm-hmm. And people just go to what they know, don't they? It's easy for consumers to consume what they already know,
right?
And not discover new things. But the internet is amazing, isn't it? And if you're good enough, you'll be out there.
It's true. Yeah, the same adage still applies. Like the talent always
shines through, doesn't it? At the end of the day, if you're good, people will see that.
Well said. Well said. Yeah. So great. I just wanted to thank you again for coming.
Joy.
Thanks for having
my pleasure.
the time to meet with me. John Faulkner of
Faulkner.
Right, pardon my American accent, of Porcupine, the Protectors and Syndicate. So this is episode 1, and we look forward to making more episodes with great people like John here. So
good luck, Joey.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, nice to speak to you.
That's it for today's episode of Echoes and Anecdotes. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you're listening. And if you'd like to show some love, leave a comment. You can also follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify for new episodes, news, and brushes with fame. I'm Giovanni Rocha, and this has been Echoes and Anecdotes, where the music may fade, but the stories don't.